Yesterday, we reported on a 30-year-old woman by the name of Charlena Lyles, who had a mental illness and unfortunately called police officials in regard to a burglary and then was shot by the two Seattle cops who showed up to the scene. Now, when cops arrived to the scene, they alleged that she was holding a knife and they felt threatened, and that's why they decided to shoot her.
I think just to be clear, and it's not your. I think she didn't have the knife when they got there.
They didn't. She
went and got the knife.
Yeah. So. Yes, and we're gonna get to that in just a second because the Seattle Police Department, in an effort to be transparent about this case, has released audio of the situation, and it gives you a sense of what that scene was like. Now, just to give you some more context before we go to the audio, the recording captured by microphones linked wirelessly to the dashboard video system in the officer's patrol car was publicly released in the interest of maintaining transparency in the investigation of Sunday's shooting, and that's according to a statement by the Seattle Police Department. Keep in mind that Lyles had 4 children and was expecting a 5th, meaning that she was pregnant at the time of the shooting, and unfortunately, again, she did lose her life. Now, the full audio is a little over 4 minutes long. Obviously, we can't play the full thing for you, but I do highly recommend you listen to the full audio. We will include a link in the description box below. But the Seattle Police Department, in the statement posted on its website along with audio recordings, said that 2 officers were sent on Sunday to respond to a report of a burglary instead of the typical 1 because of a recent officer's safety caution associated with the caller. So why am I mentioning that? Well, before this encounter with the cops, she had another encounter with cops where she had a little bit of an episode. She became paranoid. She had a pair of scissors in her hands. She accused these cops of being part of the KKK and coming after her. So clearly there's some sort of mental condition going on, and the police department was aware of that. And the responding police officials were also aware of that. In fact, in the audio, they're heard as saying she let them in, then she started talking all crazy about how the officers weren't going to leave. This gal, she is the one making all these weird statements about how her and her daughter are going to turn into wolves. So that was said in the audio by the 2 cops that were involved in this shooting. So the reason why I'm mentioning that is because they were aware that she had some sort of mental condition. Now, with that said, here is the part of the audio where the shooting happened.
They said an Xbox was taken. Yeah. And what was it? The fact that you might have killed me. Get back. Get back. That's second. Hey! We need help. We need this woman for a few nights. Hey, get back! Get back!
So obviously there's no video to accompany that audio, but that's what we have right now. I don't know what kind of training there is with this police department and those who have mental conditions, but police have said that both officers were equipped with less lethal force options, and unfortunately it ended with them using fatal force and killing her.
They knew she had a mental health condition.
They did, yes.
You showed us that. It just seemed like it was meant to be more derisive than, oh, this is a clue we should follow. Perhaps this should be handled differently.
I don't know, man. It's I am again keenly aware these are 2 police officers who are confronted with a person with a knife. So they're either not going to get charged, or if they do get charged, they're going to get acquitted. And I know when I've read stories about how quickly someone can cover a lot of ground with a knife. I find it hard to believe that 2 police officers couldn't disable the knife. I don't know. I'm not a cop, and I know cops are going to roll their eyes, and so I don't know, and I wasn't there, and we need more information, and everybody should probably shut up until we have more information. But I still don't understand. I know that when you're trained as a police officer in the United States of America, and I think in every single jurisdiction, that if you use lethal force, you're supposed to use lethal force to kill. Right? You're never supposed to shoot anybody in the leg, especially if somebody has a gun, because if you shoot them in the leg, they can still shoot you with their gun. That has translated over to knives also. logic tells me that why? I understand, by the way, you could shoot somebody in the leg and still kill them. I got it, but not usually. So again, it goes back to, are we sure we're doing everything right? Are we 100% positive that police training in the year 2017 for handling people at their worst moments, are we positive we're doing it the right way? If we're positive we're doing it the right way, if we, as President Obama said he was going to do, if we were going to put the best policing minds involved with people involved in at-risk communities and put them together and the smartest people and talked it out about the best way to handle it, if we came out with the exact same solution, okay. But I bet we aren't handling it in the best way. I bet there are different ways to handle it that would reduce these things happening, because it's not just her family now and the kids, the 3 kids who are in the goddamn house, man. It's not just her life's over and her family's life has changed and those kids' lives, and she was pregnant.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not just that's ruined. It has a damaging effect on the psyche in Seattle and in the state of Washington, and for all of us to get this again and again and again, and to suddenly start feeling like, hey, maybe I was taught to believe police, they came to our school, they're the good guys, right? There's damage to our collective psyche when we stop thinking that. And for some, that happened a long time ago and they're not the good guys. And I totally get, man, I have enormous privilege as a white male to where anytime a cop has asked me to do anything, I do it, and I've never had a fear in my life. And my run-ins with police have been negligible, if I've had any. I can't even remember, maybe one. And getting pulled over, that's it. And it's like, we're joking at the end, right? But it has a collective effect on all our psyches, and it has on black people since the 18th century. So it's possible we're doing it wrong. It is possible that it's okay to try and shoot somebody in the leg who has a knife and you think is a risk, because they're not gonna kill you with the knife if you shoot him in the leg, and she'd be alive today. And I don't know, and I'm not an authority, but man, I want authorities to get together and I want that conversation broached, because the immediate response to it is always, no, if you draw your weapon, and if you think a circumstance is serious enough to discharge your weapon, then you discharge your weapon to kill.
Yeah, and look, I think that in order to stop the types of stories that we're seeing far too often, there needs to be a comprehensive approach, right? Because right now in society, we have a dangerous cocktail that leads to these types of encounters with cops. First of all, we have issues with healthcare in general, but mental health care, I mean, look, just living in Los Angeles, and of course this is anecdotal evidence, but I know that on a broader level, this is a big issue. There are people who are living in the streets because of the fact that they have untreated mental conditions, and you see it day in and day out, and people can't afford to take care of themselves physically right now. And mental health care is never a priority in the United States until there's a mass shooting and people are looking for a scapegoat so we don't have to talk about gun legislation, right? But mental health care is something that we 100% have to address in the country, and we don't. So we don't address mental health care, people go untreated, okay? We have an issue with cops who are justified in being paranoid because we're swimming in a sea of guns, right? And then on top of that, there is a lack of training in terms of dealing with individuals who have mental health issues. And so this cocktail leads to these types of stories that we see day in and day out. And there are stories that we don't even report on, because it would literally be the only thing that we talk about on the show if we were to report on every single one of them. I mean, I don't know if there's ever gonna be a solution. I mean, I know there are solutions. I know that they're not actually taken seriously. Instead of getting defensive, I don't know, I feel like it would be more helpful if people consider possible solutions and actually work toward improving the conditions that Americans are living under, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. There's just this ridiculous, weird pushback as if every single cop is perfect and they do their jobs perfectly 100% of the time. No other profession gets that type of treatment. But for some reason with cops, it's like, no, you're not allowed to criticize them. They have hard jobs, so they get to go ahead and shoot anyone they want, and they can't get criticized for it.
Alonzo Bowden was here on Friday, and he just said, we pay him more and you make him go to college. And I've thought that for a long time, and I think it's just worth bringing up.
Yeah.
That it becomes a different kind of job. And I'm not saying there aren't a lot of smart cops. I know a lot. I know not a lot, but I know some cops, and they're super smart and thoughtful guys. So I'm not saying they're not now, but that would be a start. It's not, it's not a job you settle in. It should be a job you aspire to. It's one of the hardest jobs in the world, and they should be paid well, and they should be given time off because it is enormously stressful because they're exposed to people at their worst every single day. Cops on the street are, especially in cities like Los Angeles, and paying them more and having them get a college where they, as Alonzo said, where you meet and are exposed to other people, it would help. It's a different way of thinking about it. There already are jurisdictions that do that.
We're not the Young Turks, you're the Young Turks. You power this show. Together, we built something amazing. We've broken stories like the Donna Brazil story the mainstream media wouldn't break. We built the studio, we built this network. It's now #1, all thanks to you guys. Let's come build it even bigger and stronger. TYTnetwork.com/join.